Sometimes we really overcomplicate this whole sharing Jesus with your children thing. Well, my 5-year-old son was in the other room and I was listening to a sermon while I was baking some bread, and I could tell he was obviously listening into the sermon a little bit, but it was an adult sermon, so he understood some things and was getting confused by others. Like the pastor said something to the essence of Jesus died so that we don't have to. And my little boy got so confused for a minute. He was like, wait, mommy, like I know Jesus died on the cross. Like he knows enough about that. And he's just blown away by Jesus. It is so amazing to see a childlike joy and love for Jesus. Anyway, he said, but we're not going to die. And I took a pause and I was praying for the Holy Spirit to lead me in this conversation for how I could explain to him how we will die in our fleshly bodies, but how it's exciting because we don't have to go to hell. We'll be able to live with Jesus forever. Like, how do I eloquently and for a 5-year-old explain this? And before I even had the chance to respond, I was kind of pausing for a moment to figure out through the Holy Spirit how to answer this question. My son chimed in again and he goes, is it so that we don't have to have nails in our hands? Is it so that death doesn't have to hurt? And through that pause, through that moment of prayer, asking the Holy Spirit to lead this conversation, he led it directly through my 5-year-old son. We then went on to have a beautiful 5-year-old centric conversation about how the world may give us circumstances that hurt, and we do have a guaranteed expiration date on our fleshly life. But it is nothing to fear because God is who we get to meet. And that it's okay if sometimes we fear dying, but that we do not have to fear death because we get everlasting life in Jesus. And then he's 5, so the conversation went on to what's heaven gonna be like, and like, has anyone ever seen God before, and just typical 5-year-old questions. But I thought that was such a beautiful moment, and we take for granted so much how God can use children to get through to us. Not always about how old you are, how knowledgeable you are, how wise you are. It's that you have a childlike joy and hunger and love for Jesus. And who better to teach me about that than my 5-year-old?